Okay, hi everybody. Thanks for joining me for Auctria's webinar, Boosting the Income for Your Auction Fundraiser. Today we will be focusing on silent and live auctions. My name is Lori and I'm the marketing coordinator here at Auctria. My goal is to help fundraising groups make the most out of the auction fundraiser. This webinar is part of an ongoing webinar series with exclusive content from Auctria, so be on the lookout for some additional topics. I'm also joined today by benefit auctioneer Stephen Kilbreath, and I'm thrilled that he's able to spend a couple minutes of time this morning to share his expertise also. So you want to run an auction fundraiser or have one run and wondering how you can do more with the event and really increase the final donation amount? The purpose of this webinar is to help guide and send you off with some useful information to make some solid decisions going forward. So just a little quick overview of Auctria. Founded in 2011 as charity auction organizer, we updated our name and logo in 2016 to Auctria. Like many awesome tools out there, this program was designed out of need. We too were tired of paper bid sheets, unorganized track, a better way. So our founder brilliantly developed Auctria from the ground up, taking into account the entire process of running an auction fundraiser, from first donation to the last receipt and all the bidding in between. For some background, since its inception, Auctria has been used to run fundraisers for over 21,000 auctions. Those are live, silent, and online. About a third of them are school-based, and the other 2/3 are a combination of animal lovers, arts and culture, humanity, disease and wellness champs, local and community-based groups. There have been 1.6 million bidders that have come through Auctria, and that's equivalent to the population of the entire city of Philadelphia. 2.3 million bids have been recorded, and Auctria has helped groups fundraise over $100 million. Still, every day is new, and we are always appreciative of feedback. Through the years, feedback guided us in adding or improving features such as ticketing, table seating, sharing buttons. Our newest feature rolling out is a mobile app, so stay tuned for some details on that. Like I said, I'm pleased to share with you that Stephen Kilbreath of Stephen Kilbreath Auction Events is on the webinar to share his expert advice. He's a professional benefits auctioneer. In addition to MC and auctioneer, his team helps with event planning. They work with all size groups that need all levels of help. Everything from auction planning phase to operations and implementation the day or the night of the event. Did I get that right, Stephen?
Yeah, that's it. We cover it all.
Thanks. So here's a little agenda of what we're going to go over today. And first, some housekeeping. I'd like to hold all the questions as we travel through the slides and drop any questions you have into the comment box. And at the conclusion, we can go over your comments and questions. Yes, the slides, links, and resources will be available on a pop-up screen that immediately follows the webinar. So go ahead and save that page or bookmark it and share it with all the committee members in your auction group. Here's what we'll be covering. From choosing the type of event and practical guidelines, purpose and expectations of running an auction fundraiser, contrasting some auction types, adding in a hybrid component, choosing and using a professional auctioneer, team roles, timelines and checklists, promoting the auction, questions and answers. And then I want to thank Stephen again for joining us. He does so from Washington and is happy to present and take your questions as well. After the webinar, stay in touch with both of us on Facebook and webinar. We post lots of really good information to help you make the best out of your auction every day. Auctions are a great way to engage and be interactive with the current donor, but also the potential future donor population. The purpose of the auction itself is to offer goods and services, opportunities that are bid upon by the donors. The auction should be short-term and long-term goals. Obviously, you are there to fundraise for the cause. However, this is the perfect venue to educate donors about the mission, communicate specific needs, and celebrate the achievements. Auction fundraisers tap the unique supporter that wants something in return for the donation. Since auction items are almost always donated, there's not a whole lot of outlay by the group or charity for the items that will be up for bid. Auctions do lend to sharing and caring. Bidders are energized by the auction offerings and share the auction news with friends and family, increasing the breadth of potential bidders. This type of organic compassion widens the audience of the mission and the vision for the charity group. If you're still on the fence trying to decide between an in-person event or an online auction, let's just contrast a couple bullet points here. Your silent and live auction obviously is an in-person event. There's a party atmosphere that enhances the bids. In-person event limits, though, the bidding to attendees only. So finding a location, date, time, and price point that will encourage attendance and fill the seats is crucial. The auction and event can run concurrently, so fill the event time with entertainment, a keynote speaker, celebrating success, showing photos and videos of how the cause has helped the recipients. During an in-person event, income can dramatically increase with sponsorships. Sales sponsorships from a few hundred dollars to thousands of dollars. Sponsorships can be used to cover entire portions of an event, like valet parking or a dessert table, and then add in a paddle, raise, or a raffle, and you can really boost the donations. Online-only auction lessens the personal connection to the event, but does have some other favorable features. Less overhead to run an event is the most obvious. Less workload because you no longer have to plan for an event or party. And there's no barrier to entry, so the potential bidder pool is larger. You can bid from the couch or a mobile device with immediate notifications. Donations of goods need to be delivered or shipped after the event concludes. An online auction is much less personal and less opportunity to share the story behind the cause. So today, we're going to focus this webinar on how to maximize the in-person or live and silent auction activities. As discussed, there are ordinarily 3 separate choices for an auction fundraiser: live, silent. They can act as standalone events or be combined for reach and impact. Don't be ordinary, though. Online components can be combined to boost your total donations. Use online webs to attract and sell event tickets. Upsell to VIP seating, VIP parking, anything VIP really does sell. Use the online opportunity to pre-sell drink and raffle tickets. A popular and effective trend is to do some short online pre-bidding prior to an event and a silent event. In this case, use the auction catalog to attract attention and sell tickets as well as accept pre-bidding online. Close the pre-bidding before the event, and any bids that were placed become the starting bid on the silent auction item. If it goes up, great. If not, you have that previous bid commitment and the item still sells. Mobile bidding is another popular trend at in-person events. And if you ask people whether or not you should do mobile bidding at an event, you'll probably get 50% of the people say yes and 50% of the people say no. For those that say yes, mobile bidding can be used to replace the paper bid sheets. Items would still be displayed. However, bidders would place bids through the Auctria application on a personal mobile device. Outbid notifications are immediate. Bidders can rebid the moment they are notified, and the immediate feedback makes the bids soar. For wrap-up, mobile bidding reduces the workload required to record the final bids at the conclusion of the event, streamlining even more of the process. In-person events make auctions personal, so hold the positive energy. Show and tell. Use the time with a captive audience to rave about how past successes funded activities and projects. Show pictures, show videos, make it a visual experience. Show and tell the items. Select live auction items with a variety of price points. Begin with the lower value items to engage more bidders. Choose auction items that are not a commodity type item. Instead, select one-of-a-kind or unique experience items that have a broad audience interest. Paddle raise, fund a need, give from the heart. It goes by a lot of different names, but it's all the same concept. If the auction agenda does not include a paddle raise, then you are probably leaving some funds on the table. Straight up ask for donation. Use a lively MC or an influential member of the group to encourage participation. The paddle raise is typically initiated about a halfway to 2/3 the way through the event. The MC announces what project the paddle raise will fund. Take the opportunity here to really tell the story, show photos and videos, make an emotional connection with the audience. Then announce, please raise your paddle to donate X amount. Start with the highest figure you think you can get at least one paddle to raise for. Then incrementally lower the donation amount and hopefully raise more paddles. Spotters will be needed to track the process. These work because attendees are there to support the cause. Most people walk into these events thinking, okay, I've got X dollars that I'm willing to spend tonight. If they aren't the winning bidder on an auction item, they're still probably willing to participate in the charity. You have to ask though, and a bid from the heart is a perfect opportunity. Adding a live auction to your silent auction event can be a huge booster, but heed some advice. First and foremost, you need to have an auctioneer or an MC that is a combination of professional, affable, and ready to take charge. Best practices for a live auction: use a talented auctioneer. That can really increase your bidder activity. The auctioneer can sell the item with a more detailed description or modify the starting bid to gain interest to initiate activity. Social competition can be healthy for securing bids. Some bidders love the spotlight and prefer live action to flaunt their generosity. Bidders tend to get caught up in the moment. Flexibility is inherent with live bidding. If a starting bid seems too high, the auctioneer can pivot quickly to a lower price point. Raise the paddle, of course, can be incorporated to the live auction and bring in lots of cash donations. Be aware, though, with the live auction, attendance is required, so you got to be there to bid. Items at a live auction are at a higher start price, so it may exclude some bidders based on personal budget constraints. Doing a live auction without an enthusiastic MC or auctioneer can be devastating and not yield the results you're hoping for. So be prepared for quick action auction and have a spotter ready for the final bids and the final bidder numbers for your live auction. Stephen, can you go ahead and share with us all your tips on choosing a professional auction benefit auctioneer?
Sure, yeah. I just want to say to everybody, thanks for being here with us today. But yeah, it is something that you need to consider in, because it's not how much money you're spending on an auctioneer, it's how much you are not earning because you don't have a professional auctioneer. I always tell groups that the PTA president or somebody in your organization, they can do the auction, and sometimes they can do okay, but is there money left on the table? And the answer to that question is yes, because a trained benefit auctioneer is somebody who has the training to get the most out of your guests, and by the way, make them feel good about it, and that's important as well, because we have that training. So I'm a benefit auctioneer specialist. That's a designation from the National Auctioneers Association, so you should look for that when you're trying to find a professional auctioneer. And again, yes, you get what you pay for, especially with auctioneers. And so I know that several of the ideas that my fellow BAS auctioneers and I will come to a meeting with will certainly make more than our fee is, so it's well worth it just with one idea. So as it says here on the slide, choose wisely. Professional auctioneer is an investment to your organization, but you have to pick the right one. and you have to meet the auctioneer and make sure they're a good fit for your group, because everybody is different here. You can see in this picture, that's my Zoot suit for my Roaring 20s event. That's not normally what I wear, but that was a Roaring 20s event, although I'm wearing that this weekend. But you should meet the auctioneer, determine their scope of service, kind of figure out what they are going to offer, what they bring to the event. What kind of things do they have? Do they have spotters? Do they have assistants? Do they have night of managers? All of the different kinds of things that they can bring to your event. And plus, how much consulting are they going to do? Because 85% of what we do is before your event, where we're consulting and we're kind of giving you ideas that might work for your event. And we throw a lot of things out there, and we want to make sure that what we plan is going to work for your event. So I have a multi-pronged checklist that we go through several months out, 2 months out, 1 month out, and we make sure that we're getting everything ready, because our goal for night of your event is to, again, like I said, maximize and get the most money you can. The bonus tip you can see at the bottom here, it says, what if blank happens? What if the power goes out, which has happened to me? What if the caterer doesn't show up, which has happened to me? What if this happens or that happens? Your professional auctioneer will be able to kind of roll with the punches and handle those situations. Again, preparing the auctioneer is a big thing. I have some clients this weekend where I just met with them yesterday, and it was the first time I had met with them. It just because of our schedules didn't work out and all of that kind of stuff, but they had everything that we needed to go to do the event, and they answered all of the questions that I had from the checklist. So you should have a checklist that you're going through with your auctioneer. One of the big things is that the auctioneer should be the bus driver, so to speak, of the whole evening, right? They shouldn't, you should trust them to control the evening, so you can be working, cultivating your guests and working those relationships. You shouldn't have to be running around worried about the auction, because the auctioneer should have all of the information, and they should be able to run that entire event even without you being there if necessary, although we want you there. But the point is that you should be cultivating your guests and not worrying about what's going on with the auctioneer. So there's 10 questions we ask before hiring an auctioneer. How many benefit auctions do you do? Our company only does charity auctions. There are others that do cattle auctions along with real estate auctions, auto auctions, what do you call those, storage auctions. But I don't do those, and it doesn't mean those guys can't do charity auctions, but they have to be trained in doing that as well. How many auctions do they do? Percentage fundraising, that's a good question to actually ask yourself. How much return of value do you get on your auction? So if you've procured $10,000 worth of items, are you making $10,000 or more? In a live auction, it should be 100% or more. Last weekend, we made 301% during a live auction, which is awesome. That's not necessarily common. Usually it's probably around 150 to 200% of live auction value is what we're making. And in a silent auction, it's nationally, they say 50%. In our area here in the Northwest, it's about 75%. Ask them what their bid calling technique is. We call ours, conversational style, entertaining and conversational. So that's what I call my bid calling technique. That's not an official term that auctioneers use, but that's easily explains what we do. The other one, obstacles, we kind of mentioned that, how they would handle things. Crowd interaction. Does your auctioneer go in the crowd? Ask your auctioneer, ask her or him if that's what they do. Do they go into the crowd? Are they part of the event? If you have 400 guests and you have 15 live auction items, that's 385 people that are not bidding on something, or not buying something, I should say. So make sure that your auctioneer is somebody who's able to be in the crowd. Find out what their special appeal strategy is. That's the most important part of your night, where you're trying to raise money for a certain need that your group has. So what's the strategy for it in getting to your goal? Find out what additional services they have, and that's a good question to ask as well. And we've covered style and certification, but additional services, what do they bring to the table? Is there recorders? Is there spotters? Can they hire an event planner? I mean, we have a person on our team that does videos for special appeal videos. We have a person who does catalogs, so there's all of these different kind of things that we can offer you, and that to see if your auctioneer offers them to you. You don't need an auctioneer that offers all of that, because certainly you may not need all of that, but just interesting to find out what they have before you hire them. And again, making sure that they don't charge you for meetings. I know some auctioneers that do charge for that. That should be wrapped up into the fee. That's my opinion on that. That's not necessarily the way it should be, but I think that meetings should be included in that. So you need to know them, you need to meet them. You know, they arrange selling order of live auction items, brainstorm on revenue enhancers, and then, like I mentioned, to go through the checklist and all of that. Again, you need to be the ambassador. The auctioneer should be the night of kind of coordinator on how everything is going, you know, and stage manager, not necessarily stage manager since they're on stage, but they should be able to provide you with the comfort level that they're going to take care of everything that you need for this event. And the auctioneer should do all of these things that you see here. And that's basically it. They should be entertaining, but not the entertainment for the night as well. So our goal is to raise you money, and that's what we do. And I think next is my little video.
I do. I'm going to go ahead and tap it.
So this is just my video, just showing kind of the style of what a benefit auctioneer should be like.
2, 1. Does he want it? Stephen is exceptional at dealing with the audience. Matter of fact, most of the times he will not even be on stage. He will work the room, he'll go out, he'll personally address, talk to people, and he makes the person who's bidding feel good about bidding.
Stephen's hilarious. He is a lot of fun.
Put the card, I'll tell you how much after you put the card up. After you put it up. Yes, 5,000 is now bid. Thank you.
I think a lot of people come to our auction because they want to see Stephen and want to interact with him as much as they want to be there to support our organization.
It's going to be sold to them out there in 3, 2, 1,400 is bid.
One of the things that we really appreciated about working with Stephen is that he brought a lot of experience to the crafting of our program, which was an area that we needed some help with our event. And with our last event, ended up making a record revenue for it. So we have Stephen to thank for that.
159, thank you, at $5,000.
We've actually had people walk out of the auction in a very delighted way, tell us that they spent much more money than they were anticipating because of Stephen's interactions with them.
Sold it over here at $700. Sold that way at $1,200. Sold it out that way for $2,000. Thank you very much.
Working with Stephen is always fun because not only is he relatable, but he's very much down to earth.
So the point of that is not necessarily an advertisement. The point of that is to show if you're not used to having professional auctioneers that do specialize in benefit auctions, that's kind of the style. It's not the rapid fire style that you see in movies or you see at other types of auctions throughout the country. That's kind of the style, and it's entertaining and conversational. And what we want is we want everybody to feel like they are a part of the event and having fun. And that's kind of the point of that. So Lori, I'll send it back over to you.
Stephen, I do have to say, every time I see that video, it makes me smile, and I'm sure having a professional benefit auctioneer makes the audience smile also. And then it doesn't put the pressure, I think, on the people that are running the auction to feel guilty that they're asking people for money. So I think that little bit of separation is definitely beneficial also.
Yeah, for sure.
So I know Stephen has a list of team roles and responsibilities and checklists that he can share or that you can touch base with him on. Auctria does also. We want to give you lots of opportunities to make lots of checklists and timelines that work for you so they can be modified. But auction committees that communicate well find greater success in auction fundraising. You know, communication is key to any relationship. There's a lot of moving parts to an auction fundraiser, so establishing a centralized communication hub is essential. My least favorite communication tool is group text messages. I'm sure you've been on these threads before. Some people are dropped off, added, tone changes, and sometimes they get really, really messy. Nor do you have any historical reference for them other than what's on people's phones. My favorite way to communication for group activities like this is Slack. It's a much more advanced group messaging tool. It's free to small groups, and you can collaborate here on this hub and communicate, invite members, join in conversations, and it totally elevates the group chat to an organized thread. My favorite for documents and emails is Google. You should have a Google account set up just for your auction so that you can retain all your documents and all your emails in a centralized location as well. You may have heard me refer to my most beloved auction group that runs an auction as Bids for Kids. 8 years ago, Bids for Kids auction embraced the Gmail and Google documents. There have been over 3 turnovers of auction committee chairs and numerous team members helping them. But not one drop of history has been lost. Between using Auctria and Google Docs, the auction data is secure and reliable, and they have all 8 years worth of that history. Donors, sponsors, bidders know that the email is active and current. Don't use a personal email address in activities. It all falls in. And what happens during a transition, even if it's a friendly transition, things get lost. So there's a couple teams and duties within the auction committee. So the main auction committee collectively should establish goals, map out the overall process, define the bidding audience, refine your donor targets, and recruit volunteers. Your event team will coordinate a venue, define a theme, enlist a keynote speaker, book entertainment, deal with the space planning, vendor selection, setup, and auction presentation. Your procurement team will create a great donation request letter. I also have a sample letter that I'll put in the resource so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. They're going to go ahead and secure the donations, track the donations, and create any of the auction documents. The procurement team will also send follow-up thank you letters to donors. My best tip is to print your thank you notes before the auction event so that you only need to drop them in the mail or drop them in the email after the event. The exhaustion after coming off that high of an event is not a time that you want to start writing thank you notes. So just have them in your pocket and ready to go. So your auction operations or data team will establish consistent pricing. You want to work out your starting bids, your buy it now pricing. You want to work out the details for bidder assignment. You want to manage your auction item details and bid sheets, manage the item details, oversee any printouts, bid sheets, catalog, display pages, and then of course that group will manage the entire auction closeout. Your marketing team will promote the event and silent and live auction. They'll promote the online auction catalog and encourage early bidder registration and pre-sales, sell event tickets, raffle tickets, and capitalize on public relations and social media. I'll share a link for you with a very detailed timeline and checklist for running the auction fundraiser. You can download and revise as it fits your needs. But in some broad strokes, here's what you'll find. 12 to 6 months out, you'll establish your goals and recruit your volunteers and plan for your recruitment and your event planning. 3 to 6 months out, you want to set up your financials and request your donated auction items and establish a social media presence. 1 to 2 months out, you want to be testing your system and start to work on marketing. And that's the point in time where you want to flip the switch from asking for donations to pushing out your messaging and encouraging people to attend your event. Your final weeks will continue promoting, filling seats, and training any of your team members on any systems that will be in place and connecting with any sort of auctioneer or professional team members that you have. And then you'll also have your final checklist. So here's a little video of our PDF that we have for auction planning. It's going to go quick, but I'll send you the link and then you download, print, save, and with your team. Did you catch all that? You didn't have to. It's okay. Like I said, you'll be able to download it and share it with everybody. So now we go on to promoting, and promote some more. You want to promote and market your auction to increase attendance and bids. You want to brand your auction fundraiser, starting with deciding on a catchy name, and then you'll need an eye-catching event logo, tagline, and social media hashtag. All this will help build trust with the organization and the event. Donors and bidders are going to want the full story, so give it to them in text and photo and video. Use each and every communication channel that the potential bidder or donor audience can be reached. Consider how the group regularly communicates formally and informally. Hard copy flyers include a QR code so that people can scan it. Newsletters, digital newsletters, automated telephone calling system. A lot of schools have that. And if they're using the robocall for other important information, use it for your auction also. Facebook is great for nonprofits. Twitter is too. You can even do some Facebook micro-targeting and advertising depending on your marketing budget. Use your bulletin board on property. Use bulletin boards in local businesses that promote local events. Think Starbucks, Panera, local lunch shop, community centers, community e-bulletin boards also, blogs and emails. Newspapers allow public and local submissions for event sections that can be submitted for print and online listings. Use those to promote the event and the cause. Local magazines typically encourage public submissions to local fundraising events, and they like talking about the local activities that are going on. Email newsletters should already be part of your engagement strategy. If it's not, the auction is a great time to start. Post-event communication is just as valuable as pre-event communication. Share the post-event story. How much was raised and how the dollars been. Tell and retell your story again because you want to gain long-term loyalty. So here's a quickie of the resources that I'll be posting after the event, and as it closes, it'll go right to a page that you'll be able to click through and whenever you need. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Auctria is active on Facebook and Twitter. In addition, we're active on Pinterest. There's over 500 of online donation request web pages where you can request any sort of retail services or directly from the manufacturers. So follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. And Stephen, you're also active on social media also, correct?
Oh yeah, you can check us out. We have blogs and everything like that, just giving people information.
Awesome. And right here is Stephen's email address. Feel free to reach out to him with any questions. He really is a really nice guy, and he'll help you make the best out of your auction. And then, like I said, everything will be on our website. If you lose track of our emails and addresses and all that, it'll be available at your fingertips. So I want to thank everybody for joining us and hope you have a great day.